Okay. How did you want to start this episode? It got delivered to him.
Nice. I'm just recording in case he joins in.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, I'll give you like some sort of a minute marker when we actually start recording the show.
Okay.
Because
we got to do you're recording right now, right?
I am.
Let's go ahead and do 10 seconds for Harambe.
Quite good. Attack warning. Is it for real? Attack warning for bloody real.
Live from Colorado Springs, the Drop Culture Podcast.
Want to confirm, is this an exercise? Roger, copy. This is not an exercise.
Come on, quick, get down. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome, everybody, to the Dropped Culture Podcast. I'm Dan.
I'm Brock.
And this is that little podcast where we pick up that piece of pop culture you forgot about or missed, shine it up real nice, and cram it in your ear holes. Guess what we're going to cram in your ear holes today? Any ideas, Brock?
Original stories.
So you may remember a little event that took place in 1997, or you might not. Either way, you're going to learn about it today. Two of the powerhouse publishers of comic books joined together to make a little thing called Marvel versus DC. Do you remember that, Brock?
I remember Marvel versus DC. I don't remember if they did what we are doing tonight.
Well, we're about to get to that. We are. They did.
Oh, okay. I remember that there was some things that were going on.
Yeah, so Marvel vs. DC was an interesting comic because for a good portion of the fights, not all of them, it was basically, pitting characters from Marvel against characters from DC. Fans got to vote on who won. Not all of them, not on all the characters, not on all the fights. So basically the story is about a guy named Access. That's what his name ends up being. And he basically has the power to travel between both worlds, the DC and the Marvel. And you find out there's two brothers, one of them like cosmic entities, if you will. And one of them has DC Universe, and one of them has the Marvel Universe. And I think they basically make them fight to see which one gets to keep on existing, is the idea.
Okay.
I remember that kid gains his powers to become Access. Something about a glowing box and a homeless guy. That's about as much as I remember.
Well, okay. So it's like a Shazam thing?
Sorta. So in that comic, they had Superman versus Hulk. But it was like the smart Hulk. So it wasn't Hulk at like full power. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But he was smarter.
Right.
Wonder Woman versus Storm. Trying to think of some of the Aquaman versus Namor. Batman versus Captain America.
Was that the one that was set back in the 40s?
No. They all took place in this current continuity.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think of some of the other ones off the top of my head. I believe that I remember at one time Wonder Woman had Thor's hammer.
Okay, and I can see that.
She put it down to fight Storm, which was real dumb. Because Storm ended up winning just by striking her with lightning over and over and over and over and over again.
Okay.
I remember Aquaman beat Namor. by making Orca jump out of the water and land on him, which was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Or maybe it was a whale, whatever, like a full-grown whale. Whatever it was real stupid, because that's the only thing that like sets them apart from each other, basically, is that he has like hydro animal kinesis or whatever, you know what I mean? Like he talks to animals underwater or whatever.
Right.
Telepathy.
Yeah, he sleeps with fish.
I learned that on Peacemaker. But yeah, so those were the stories I remember. I remember there was a Superboy, because that was the 90s, you know what I mean? So we had the death of Superman, and we had that Superboy, the clone.
Okay.
And he fought Spider-Man, which wasn't our Spider-Man. It wasn't Peter Parker. It was Ben Reilly at that time.
Oh, so it was knee deep into the Clone Wars saga stuff.
Yep. Silver Surfer versus Green Lantern, but it was Kyle Rayner Green Lantern, which had, in my opinion, had some of the best Green Lantern machinations, you know, constructs, because he was an artist, you know, the idea that it's your imagination basically and your willpower to create it. But yeah, he got smoked by Silver Surfer because Silver Surfer. But yeah, those were the fights. Superman beat Hulk pretty handily. I mean, it was a good fight, but you know, in the end, it was Superman.
It's Superman.
Yeah. And it wasn't like he was the Hulk where it like eats planets, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, if you wanted to go on those tandems, I would rather see, if it were me, like a World Breaker Hulk, like the World War Hulk, you know, fighting Superman. That would be much cooler.
Yeah.
I go ahead.
No. I do have a graphic novel that has Captain America and Batman together. And it's set in the 40s. Then I do have in that same one, there's two Punisher versus Batman stories. One before Nightfall and then one after.
Okay.
And they're both going after Jigsaw.
I remember that. I remember those comics.
So the Azrael Batman fights him the second time, and he's like, this is not the same dude. Right. Or maybe it's the first time. And then it was Silver Surfer versus Superman and Mixplicket. And then the other, what's the other imp?
Batmite?
No, from Marvel.
Oh,
there's another.
The green guy.
The equivalent. Yeah, the equivalent. Yeah.
Mr. Impossible. Or Impossible
that's
Man.
right.
Impossible Man.
They were.
But those weren't part of the same Marvel versus DC thing.
Those were just like individual one-shots and shit.
Right. So as these guys fought, you had a scorecard going on because they're trying to see who gets to keep their world, right? And I believe it was Jubilee and Tim Drake Robin at the time.
Okay.
Fought each other, but they like fell in love, you know.
Well, yeah, she's a teenager. She likes to go to the mall.
You know what I mean? But he ended up beating her. The thing that stopped it all, I believe, was Batman and Captain America, because they fought for a long, long time, and then they were like, you know, reasoned it out like you do. There was like a flooding of the sewers or something that they were in, and like, I think even Batman helped pull Captain America or vice versa up. You know what I mean? Like, and then they were like, fuck this.
Yeah, why are we doing this? Yeah.
And then what happened afterwards was really interesting and something I've never seen from a comic book company before. Both Marvel and DC stopped making comics. And they made one universe called the Amalgam Universe.
Oh.
So that's where we got Batman and Wolverine came together and became a character called Dark Claw. He was I can't remember what his name was in it. I don't know if it was some combination, you know. I think it was Logan Wayne. I think it was Logan Wayne. And his alter ego was Patch Malone, which I thought was kind of cool. And at that time, you remember they used to have the Adventure of Batman and Robin comics in the 90s that were like kind of less artistically driven. They're more like kind of like the animated show.
Yes.
They did a version of Dark Claw for that too, which I thought was cool. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They had Iron Lantern, which was Iron Man basically getting Green Lantern ring. Magneto and the Metal Men. So, I mean, there were some good ones. There was one called Assassins, which was like some kind of Elektra Catwoman thing, I believe. You know what I mean? But there were quite a few different ones. And at the end, of course, they went back to their respective universes. Everything was solved or whatever.
Gotcha.
As you do.
So this led to what we're doing this week, right?
Absolutely. So what we thought would be cool was, what if Marvel versus DC happened now? What if that Amalgam Universe happened now? Right?
Not the versus part, but just the mixing.
Well, I even thought like some of the verses that could be cool. I remember in that Wolverine and Lobo fought, right?
Yeah.
But that was a fan vote one, and almost everything happened off panel. It was like they were behind a building, and then Wolverine came out, because I'm more popular than you. But I thought what would make this really interesting is to have Wolverine and X-23 versus Lobo and Crush, his daughter.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And I think one of the things that we kind of meted out when we were talking about what would be very interesting is if X-23 and Crush were just like, you know what, fuck you guys. Because they kind of all both have daddy issues anyways to some degree.
Right, right.
Realistically, X-23 is a clone, but Crush is actually his daughter. But I could see them actually getting along, and being like, screw this.
Yeah, screw these dudes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So just spitballing while we're talking, who would be cool? Who would you want to see fight from DC and Marvel?
That is a pretty tough one. I just right off the top of my head, I would love to see Doctor Strange and Constantine.
Okay.
And then maybe, I don't know, maybe Cap and Swamp Thing. That would be pretty weird.
That's an interesting one.
That would be a different one. That would be really, really weird. But it'd have to be
the Human Torch and Swamp Thing.
Oh, shit. But see that iteration, Swamp Thing and Cap, would have to be the one where like Cap has the hotline that he's going around the country with, and he ends up in Huma, Louisiana, or some shit like that.
Right.
I don't know, maybe like Etrigan and the Hulk, or I'm just trying to think of some really oddballs. That would be, of course, I'd like to see the Spectre take on somebody, but who's he going to take on? Right. He's got like Omega level powers, so he'd have to take on somebody like maybe Doom. You know what I mean? The Spectre versus Doom in a way that science and technology, along with spiritualism and the things like that, is Doom taking on fucking God pretty much. You know what I mean?
Sure, and that kind of depends on what version of Doom you want to talk about. You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I could totally see that.
Who would you want to see?
So I kind of thought it would be cool because I was trying to think of like current comics and what's going on in the pop culture world. So like my initial thought is I would like to see Eddie Brock from current continuity.
Okay.
Go against Starro. Like to start it off, because a lot of times they're fighting villains, you know what I mean? Like when they meet up with each other and fight somebody. But then I thought, that's not fair. While they, while Starro can have like all the people, he can put out all the stars on their faces like we saw in Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Eddie Brock is like the king of all the symbiotes right now. You know what I mean? Right. He is the king in black. He killed Null by taking Silver Surfer's board and Thor's hammer and putting them together and making a weapon. So all he has to, and we saw in the movie, all they have to do is poke him in the eye. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like he's just fucked early. You know what I mean? Like, and he could just call down as many symbiotes as he wanted to. What he would probably do is just put a symbiote on top of Starro. And then you have symbiote that can control things with its little star thing, and it's giant, like kaiju style.
Damn.
So that would be fun and interesting, I guess. But
yeah, that's odd. That's odd.
That would just be to get to a fight, though, and then I don't know. Maybe I don't know who he would fight. That would be ridiculous.
It'd be Krypton.
He's way too powerful right now. You know what I mean? For him to fight somebody.
Well, maybe Lobo.
No.
You think he'd wipe the floor with Lobo?
Dude, the Null King in Black stuff, like, he just took over New York City and brought down dragons and celestials that he wrapped in symbiotes and shit. You know?
Damn.
Yeah.
So he could wrap a symbiote around Lobo, and then he got Venom.
Venom that heals more. And smokes cigars. I would like to see a Deadpool versus Deathstroke. I think they're both fairly popular right now. And while I think Deathstroke is like the better fighter and, you know, he's faster, and I just don't think that his healing factor is up to par with Deadpool's.
No.
Deadpool likes regenerated from like a hand once, you know what I mean? Just his hand. That was all that was left. And don't get me wrong, Deathstroke's been shot in the head and healed, you know, like shot point blank and he healed and came back, but it takes him more time, you know what I mean? He's not Deadpool-esque. But it would be, I think what would be funny about that is that Lobo was a DC character based on Wolverine.
Yeah.
And Deadpool was a character based on Deathstroke, right? A Marvel character based on DC's Deathstroke. So the copies would be the winners because they're more popular.
Yeah, pretty much.
Even though Lobo's not more popular necessarily, I just think he's more powerful. You know, don't get me wrong. Like, again, Wolverine can regenerate from anything. He's got stupid regeneration, but here's the thing.
Plus, he's got the adamantium skeleton, so you can't break that.
No, but at the end of the day, if you wrap that chain around his neck and fly into space, Lobo can breathe in space.
Yeah.
What's Wolverine going to do? He's just going to be dead a long time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's going to keep regenerating and waking up and dying again.
Yeah.
It's like he was at the bottom of the ocean.
So it would just be like torture for him the entire time he's going through space. And then you just throw him on some ice planet. You know, he's probably already gained a bunch of ice flying through space and that cold. You know what I mean? Done, son.
Trailing the space hog.
You don't have to kill him forever. You just got to knock him out.
Yeah.
You know? Knock him out of the fight.
Do you think Wolverine could live on Jupiter?
No.
Think he could make it to the surface?
No. I don't think he gets I don't think he could make it out of our atmosphere. You know, once you're in space, what's he going to do? He can't breathe. He can't.
Nobody can hear you scream in space.
That's right. That's right. So those are just some like fun fights that I kind of stayed away from some of the big boys in my, like when we get into our amalgamations rather, to some degree, you know?
Yeah.
So really,
I did.
Was there any other fights that you could think of that would be super cool?
Not right now, honestly. I have to really think about that because I got to think, you know, who would be good enough to fight each other to make it a good enough battle, you know, and not just like too one-sided, like Spider-Man almost versus anybody. Spider-Man's going to kick their ass, except for maybe Superman.
No, yeah, Superman wins because that's DC's thing, you know?
Right? Yeah,
so you could do cool stuff. Like there was some cool stuff that they did, you know, like I thought it was cool that they had Superboy as a character and were like kind of making him popular, you know, for a while. He had his own comic. And
gotcha.
That clone Superboy. And the fact that he fought Ben Reilly, so you might be able to do something cool with that, you know, where like it's Superman's son of Kal-El, or it's Jonathan Kent, you know. Doesn't make him quite so overpowered, you know.
Right.
Versus Miles Morales. There you go. Boom.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Because Peter Parker Spider-Man is like obscenely powerful.
Well, 100%. It's not just that he's powerful; he's a genius too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the other side of it. Like
he does hold a genius level intellect, just like most of the heroes, I think, you know.
Not really most of them. I mean, like I think in Marvel, like I would think obviously Reed Richards, Doom, Tony Stark, the guy that became that. What was his name? That became the totally awesome Hulk. Remember when that was a thing? When it wasn't Bruce Banner, it was the other guy.
Oh shit! No,
I can't remember his name. He's super smart. Yeah, that's
even
Pym, Hank Pym.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Those are the brilliant ones that I think of. You know.
Yeah, the huge ones. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know who else I would pick to fight. That is a very tough question. I wasn't expecting that.
Here's what I think would be an interesting fight. Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle, versus Venom.
Okay, because they do have living entities on them, right?
Right. Now, I kind of feel like maybe Jaime Reyes' Blue Beetle would win because it would figure out that like fire and sound. You know what I mean? Like it would
automatically.
Like there'd be a fight, there'd be a brawl, there'd be some good stuff happening, and all of a sudden he'd figure that out. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's game over.
Yeah, because as soon as one of them found a weakness, then it would be exploited. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
Go ahead.
No, that's just a tough question.
So let's move on then. So we had our, whatever, just some ideas for what would be cool battles. What would be cool amalgamations of characters? Like if we went into that Amalgam Universe on our own with characters now, you know what I mean? Because those characters were 30 years ago. 25 anyways, you know what I mean? Do you have any thoughts on what might be cool for that?
Well, I mean, that's what my stories are about. That's what my original ones are about. Yeah. But we were supposed to, we did talk about having fights. That was, whoops, I failed this assignment. Teach. No,
50%, it's almost passing.
It was, I went with, the way that I kind of looked at it, I almost went with some favorites with something else. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like a couple of favorites from, one universe mixed with some new characters that have been around forever.
Sure.
For me, new characters to me that you can mix with my favorites, but then create everything from scratch. 100%.
Yeah, that's kind of where I went as well. And I tried not to pair characters that one had ever been paired, like within their old Amalgam universe, and maybe two to push different characters together, kind of like you said, something you wouldn't think of,
Right.
For me, I just wanted it to make a different character altogether for the most part. Though we'll get into that.
That's kind of where I hit. And again, like I would have the impetus of the idea and be like, kind of sit on it for a little bit. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, this is how I'd get this to go together.
Sure.
And then, I'd have, because both iterations, I had one character and I was like, how am I going to mix this character with somebody else? Who would I mix it with? I had lists, and then it just happened. Then I was like, oh shit, why not?
So
okay.
Were there any ideas that you had that you didn't make a story out of? Like
no.
Just nothing? I've got a couple. I've got a couple if you want to talk about them before we get into anything too deep.
Yeah, let's go for it.
So this is where I just have the bones of an idea. I would call this the Light Fantastic. And basically, it would be the Fantastic Four story. They go up into space, and the cosmic rays hit them, right? Tears their ship apart in the process. So now they're going to die. Even though they've got these powers, they're starting to come, you know what I mean? They're just not going to make it.
Right.
At the last moment, a green ring flying through the air lands on Reed Richards' finger. And he's able to make a bubble that goes around them all and take them back to Earth, right?
But they're still all affected by the cosmic rays,
100%. 100%.
Okay.
Maybe even more so because their ship blew up and their ship came apart and they were directly hit by them. You know what I mean? Not even the shielding.
Okay.
So they could be even more powerful or whatever, however cosmic rays work. So he becomes the Green Lantern, right? But right away, he doesn't know it. He's still the same Reed Richards, and he's like, wow, I got these stretchy powers, you know. Of course, he's still super smart. He feels really bad because he built this ship and took his friends up there, you know.
So he's still got that want to
help them and, you know.
Fix everybody, yeah.
So, like, right away, he starts creating, like, the whole Fantastic Four persona, right?
Okay.
And he's like, this is what we're going to do. And this is why we're going to do it. You know, rather than being freaks, we're going to be celebrities, which is kind of how Fantastic Four works anyways, right? That's why they did it the way they did. He makes the 4 outfits. He does all that. Right as they're kind of getting started, though, let's say just post Mole Man.
Okay.
Okay. He gets a call through the ring from Oa. And they're bringing him, basically like onboarding him. You know what I mean? Like they do.
They're doing the training where he's got to go like train under what's his nuts. What was his
Kilowog.
name? Yeah, Kilowog.
So he goes and he learns about Oa. He learns about the Guardians. He learns about his responsibilities as a Green Lantern and what he can do. He has some battle training. But Reed's super smart. Also, Reed in the comics had the will to keep the multiverse together through just his sheer will. You know what I mean? At one point. So he's got a strong will. So he's figuring out how to make things that people never even saw. You know, like the inventions that he has in his head, he can just create instantly.
Right. With the power of the ring.
Right. So he does all that. He goes on a little space adventure. I don't care what happens. He comes back to Earth. In the meantime, while he's gone, kind of like issue 4 of Fantastic Four, Johnny Storm finds Namor walking the streets and helps him get his memories back and all that. He's come in and become the 4th member of Fantastic Four.
Of course. Right.
And while Reed kind of feels bad and, you know, he still has, you know, the love for Sue, he finds out that she's pregnant with Namor's kid, kind of like the old What If issue. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's the bones of the story. And we don't have to have the pregnancy necessarily in there, just that he comes in and takes that spot. You know what I mean? And maybe there could be some good fighting there, like infighting, you know? What do you think?
Gotcha. I think that's pretty badass.
I would like... So in the old Amalgam Universe, and I've used a couple of those characters in my stories just because I'm assuming this is all the same universe. You know what I mean? Right. They had a thing called Galactiac, which was like Brainiac and Galactus together. Okay. So let's say he goes to fight him, and he just instantly makes an ultimate nullifier.
Oh,
out of his construct. You know what I mean? So... like it's boundless what he can do because he's so creative and he's so smart and he can, you know.
Plus he's got the power of the ring. Plus he's got the
stretchy powers.
Well, he's got the stretchy powers, but he's got the power of the ring. And then somehow, I think it'd be really cool if he learn something after like Galactus from Galactus's ship or something like that, right? Or Brainiac's ship, because both of those ships had like the knowledge of the universe.
You mean Galactiac's ship?
Galactiac
or whoever, but with that cosmic entity, you know, for sure.
Yeah, having that ship that kind of made him into like beyond Omega level, beyond God level, beyond anything level.
It would be interesting to see him show up like in the Council of Reeds. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And he's like, all right.
He's like the one that started it.
Yeah, he's like the alpha. know?
They're like, oh, this dude's freaking badass. In Sector 236. He's the Lantern of 236.
Absolutely. And here's my other thought, too, was you're not getting Franklin Richards this way, which kind of sucks because I like Franklin Richards. But you still get a mutant because Namor was the first mutant. You know what I mean?
Right.
So what could come out of that? You know what I mean? Who knows?
Yeah. How would the mutants? Yeah.
Underwater.
That changes the whole timeline of anything that happens because the Fantastic Four was kind of like they were the ones that first came out. Well, you know what I mean? They were some of the first superheroes in that world.
Sure.
To do something, and like you said, they were part of the media. So that kind of led to the way that like Spider-Man tried to do his shit, everything like that. But these guys are even smarter, so they can actually travel the universe like they do and solve universal problems everywhere. And I mean, they could go anywhere, you know, because he would have solved time, maybe.
So my idea about it would be that, like, every time he comes back, like, the Namor and Susan thing wouldn't happen right away. Right. But every time he comes back, they're just a little bit closer and a little bit closer, and she's a little less attached to Reed. You know what I mean? And of course, that's all he's thinking about while he's up there doing what he does. You know, he has good intentions, but he's still Reed Richards, so he gets, you know, just like everything, he's always working on something. You know what I mean? Yep.
It's the emotional aspect of that part of it. Even though he's super smart, he still can't get away from love.
Exactly.
And those raw emotions like that. He can't shut it off like somebody else can.
Right. And I don't know if you would, like, in that kind of a universe, you would, like, make the Thing an amalgamation with somebody else, Susan Storm, you know, an amalgamation with somebody else. I'm just using those as the proxy characters of what would be.
Right.
And this is basically my story of what if Reed Richards got the powers of Green Lantern, you know.
Yeah. No, but I see where they fit together in a more dynamic way to add to each of the characters, but still retain a very, very, very good amount of originality or original parts of the characters. You know what I mean?
So here's the turn. You ready?
Yeah.
All of his friends, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, Thing, all get wiped out by whatever. We can figure that
Onslaught.
out. Sure, absolutely. Which is an amalgamation of Charles Xavier and Zod. I don't know. But at any rate, and he comes back and he's just like freaked out, right? Like his friends are dead, like his fucking building, everything he's built's destroyed on Earth. And that's where you get his Hal Jordan parallax turn.
Oh,
and now you have to fight. He like kills all the lanterns, takes all the rings, walks into the, you know what I mean? Like he fucks everybody up. Because Reed Richards, could you imagine, dude? Reed Richards without a Green Lantern ring, like the Maker style from the Ultimate Universe, was pretty badass.
Yeah.
With a Green Lantern ring, holy shit, dude.
Yeah. He could wipe out everything. And yeah, he would be unchallenged.
and there would be a challenge. I mean, we could come up with somebody, I'm sure, but you know, there's plenty of people. But you would probably do a White Lantern like you did with Kyle Rayner, I think, that kind of brought all that stuff back, you know.
Yeah, some mutant being able to take over that power.
Yeah.
Some mutant with some extra ability that he doesn't think is a big deal. You know, right. Something like that. Yeah.
So that's one idea.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's really good. I like the way that goes. I like the way that, again, like I said, you mixed these older characters, established characters together, and they're heavy hitters, but use their strengths to like expand their powers. You know what I mean? Like Reed Richards' intellect with the lantern rings.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Would we
and
call
then-
him Hal Richards or Reed Jordan?
I don't know. Maybe you just still leave it Reed Richards. You know what I mean? Reed Richards, the Green Lantern. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was more joking than anything.
Yeah. But no. I think that's pretty awesome because, I mean, I did kind of cross some thoughts with the Thing, but I didn't know how to like.
What would you bring to the Thing?
I don't know. See, that's hard. It is very, very hard to think like who would I want to mix from DC with the Thing.
Right.
Obviously Doomsday, but fuck that.
Yeah.
I mean, it would just, I don't know.
He'd be the
There's
Doom
some-
Thing.
There's some heavy, there's a lot of, I mean, I had these little bursts of ideas and they just, every time I look at them, I'm like, ugh, like turning the Guardians of the Galaxy into lanterns.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But every color.
Okay.
That
That would be interesting.
Well, like, I mean, let me see. I mean, that idea was just very easy. Like Green Lantern, I know all their wills and everything. He's got the emotional will. Yellow Lantern's got the fear. Red Lanterns have rage. Blue Lanterns have hope. Orange has avarice. Black is death, and white is life. Right.
Right.
So
So you could
I
probably
looked at
throw the black and the white out because the
Maybe.
the black ones are usually like they bring back zombie dead people.
well,
You know, so
well,
unless you've got somebody that's dead you want to bring back, you'd probably leave out the black. And the white ring is like Ion. There, that's when Kyle Rayner was like Space Jesus.
oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, see, I had like for the Marvel characters that I had, I went through the list of characters that were once part of the Guardians of the Galaxy, like
Mhm.
Charlie 27.
Oh, like the 30th century stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yondu, of course, was in it.
Starhawk,
Wonder Man or Hollywood.
Hollywood, Major Victory.
Yeah, Gamora, and Rocket Raccoon. But then, just around the black and the white lanterns, I have Adam Warlock.
Okay.
Maybe somehow being able to possess both of those powers, but they're all on the same team,
Okay.
which is weird, you know. So, but
Would you put Drax in there as Rage? That would be pretty badass.
yeah. I don't know, but they'd
keeping
have
up.
control over those powers ultimately. You know what I mean?
Okay.
With the power of the ring, so it wouldn't be one sided. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you just have like the red lanterns versus the green lanterns and shit like that, you know?
Gotcha. Oh, I see what you're saying.
So they're all part of a team and they can
Right.
all use these rings for their complete powers,
Right.
you know?
I was just thinking
do you-
Drax because like his whole drive in life is to kill Thanos because he killed his family.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that might fit
Yeah.
with that.
Right. But what I ultimately, for my first one, I'll just read
Yeah,
out
absolutely.
everything that I have. So this one, I just kind of like discovered Captain Comet in the last couple of years.
Okay.
And then I learned that fucking character has been around. He was like one of the very first mutants.
Okay.
He was one of the very first superheroes in the DC kind of universe, like all the way back in the early days, right? So, I'll tell you, I had the hardest time kind of pairing somebody with it because I really, really, really wanted to use Captain Comet. And then I thought, you know what? I love Rogue. I think Rogue would be awesome, you know, to mix with somebody. So, okay. I'm just going to start this off. Captain Comet he's actually a cosmic entity that finds hosts from all over the galaxy, right? That's just the beginning part of it, and I'll kind of get more into that later on. So Rogue is born on Earth in the late 20th century, specifically, or I would say the mid in 1960, right?
Okay.
So the entity known as Captain Comet has just used up his last host on the other side of the galaxy and is looking for a new one, right? Okay. The entity doesn't have any, does have all the memories of all the former hosts and retains all knowledge and abilities, but they are latent abilities until certain moments in the host's life expose them, just like a mutant. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So Rogue, she's born a mutant, but again, the mutant gene is still kind of revving up, and of course, once they hit a certain deal, and she is in her teens. She has a dream where she communicates directly with Captain Comet, right?
Okay.
Or the entity. The entity really doesn't have a name, so he goes by whatever the last host's name was, right?
Okay.
So she immediately tells everyone, and everybody dismisses her, right? Everybody's like, whatever, you're fucking dumb, right? Her family puts her in treatment because she just goes on and on because it's just like kind of hit her. And then on her 15th birthday, her own powers actually wake up because of that stress that she's been going through, and really kind of being connected with the Captain Comet entity, right? And she just doesn't know if it's real or not, so everybody's telling her she's crazy, blah, 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 right? She absorbs the life force of a doctor, right? And then they basically put her in a mutant insane asylum because they don't know what's going on.
Right.
They just know that these people are exhibiting powers, it's happening. They have to kind of like lock her up. You know, that's the only thing.
In Arkham.
It's just some
Bellevue.
fucking, yeah, it's just some fucking weird unknown kind of a place. They're just like throwing away the key or locking them in and throwing away the key, right?
Yeah.
The whole time Captain Comet is actually the entity is actually coming to Earth to make her the new host, right? But it takes 20 years for the entity to get to Earth, right?
Okay.
And the closer it gets, the more they communicate through her dreams, right?
Okay.
So he started coming to Earth or in this direction whenever she was born, right? So it takes him the full 20 years to get here because, and I'll that comes up a little bit later. They start communicating more, and she starts, seeing things from his past, and he's just floating her ideas and everything like that. Like, hey, this is what's going to happen. She still thinks she's crazy, and is always confined to a straitjacket, right? So she's just in like a deep, dark hole somewhere doing nothing. But throughout her time in that asylum, she gets abused, beaten. There's all kinds of inhumane treatment done to her. God knows what else, right? It's just a living hell. Her parents and her siblings, they totally forget about her. They don't want anything to do with her. And basically her life is an absolute hell. She doesn't know. She doesn't know what's real and what isn't real. And all she knows is she's getting horrible test after horrible test. And, orderlies are fucked up and shit like that, right? So there's a doctor that's fascinated with mutants, right? And kind of this new mutant gene. And whenever she went into the place, he was kind of like a low level, but he believed in experimenting on them. So that's what he's been doing, like experimenting on all of these mutants, and then eventually just kills them. Okay. Like, hey, they're not worth shit, so I'm going to get rid of you. So now, first, he's basically looking for weaknesses, so whenever he reaches somebody's weaknesses with certain powers, okay, he exploits it and he kills them. So there's just all these mutants that kind of reach adolescence, and then they're put in there, kind of donated almost by the family that doesn't want to have them and shit like that because they're, mutants, right? And it's still not widespread as far as like everybody knowing about it. So these places are everywhere, right?
Sure.
So not only does she have one countdown, which Captain Comet's coming, she's got the other one that she knows eventually she's going to get killed somehow. Right. This doctor's going to kill her, right? So she doesn't know which one's going to happen first. It makes her even crazier, right? But here's the reason why it takes Captain Comet so long to get to the Earth, right? His power comes from life forces, right?
Okay.
So every chance he gets, he has to stop and absorb life. So either from plant life, humanoid life, wherever he can get it, so he has to get to the next
Galactus
host.
on a smaller scale.
Kind of. He's hopping from planet to planet to planet to planet. So the better the life force, the longer he can go, right?
Gotcha.
So it's not just instantaneous, and he can't like jump through, time warps or anything like that,
There's
right?
no Silver Surfer in that aspect.
No, yeah. He has to get to the next host because the people or the things or whatever he chooses, they are already super powerful. Or, I mean, it's kind of like, it's almost like a symbiote type of a deal.
So the hosts have to be powerful?
Yeah,
okay.
They're already going to be super powerful and whatnot. So it's like a beacon to him.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
So on one end, the other one's got to begin, right?
Sure.
Some of these bodies that he goes into last just as simple as a lifetime. And respective planets, wherever they're at, sometimes they last like thousands of years. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So the last one lasted 5,000 years. The Captain Comet one lasted 5,000 years. So he was a protector known as Captain Comet, right? And it was a distant world where he was a champion in kind of the Superman for it. Basically, whenever the entity got to this dude, the planet was still savage, right?
Okay.
So it was still kind of like Kazar's place. You know what I mean? They were still living around, beasts
lands.
and it was a savage land, and they really didn't have technology, nothing, But because Captain Comet's entity, the entity that came through, he took their society from nothing and built it up into this technological wonder. No death, nothing like that, right?
Right.
So, basically, it's almost by chance that he might find an entity like the last Captain Comet, right? Captain Comet. That he might find like a humanoid that will last that long or be able to meld with the whole time, right?
Right.
So eventually, that body is going to not be able to sustain Captain Comet's life anymore, right? So he basically, the guy that is Captain Comet, the humanoid that is known as Captain Comet, finally knows that the end is near, and he hasn't aged a day pretty much that whole time.
Okay.
So whenever the entity leaves him, he's got the rest of his life to live as they normally would. So say he's 25 whenever he reached him or something like that. I don't know. Or he reached him at 0. So he still basically never gets over 25 years old or 20 years old. And then whenever the entity leaves him, he's basically the same age, but then he lives out normally.
Okay.
Right?
That's a good deal. And
he kind of basically has his own life to live, right? So he's created this whole society, everything like that, right? He's done it from basically the dawn of time, and he doesn't even really know, the entity doesn't even really know who created him, why he was there, what it is. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Sometimes he ends up in a good host. Sometimes he ends up in a really bad one, right? So it never matters. It's just power that this entity is going for, and it's just collecting things, right? So the whole time that Rogue is in this place, she's always in some sort of restraint, right? And she's got torture, manipulation, everything, so she is broken 100%.
Right.
So she starts living inside her own brain, basically imagining she's killing everybody in the facility, right? She's walking the halls and she kind of opens all the doors, lets her roommates, everybody that's there, right? She always hears the screams and weird machines all the time over the PA, right? They have a PA that's going on through the facility, right? And each room has its own volume controls that on special days, they start at a barely audible level and audible tones and volumes, and it slowly raises until it reaches like horrific levels to where inmates can't even hear their own screams, right? So she's just been treated like fucking shit this whole time,
Yeah,
right?
it's terrible.
Yeah. So
It's like
she
Dorothy in
finally
Return to
has-
Oz.
yeah, no, it's worse than that. Yeah.
No, obviously, I was just
They don't have the rollers or whatever they're called, the skaters.
and
The
that
solar
more what
babies.
happened to her in the
Yeah.
place
No, like horrible,
where
right?
they were electrocuting her and stuff. Yeah.
So she finally gets a little bit of solace in the next dream that she has, right? So it's close on both sides, right? The entity has finally made it, right? So he enters her, right? He can't enter a host normally, right? He has to enter through a dream or their subconscious.
Okay.
That's the only way that he can get in there, right? The closer he came, the more that she was believing that he was real instead of being fake. So that's why she finds a little bit of solace in a lot of that shit. She's just
Sure.
like, oh shit, it's finally time, you know? All these things that you've been showing me for years, right? She was still doubtful in all the moments before her mind was consumed with visions of places he has been, just a large assault of visions. She gets like freaking bombarded with every experience, right? That's one of the gifts that he endows with them. Basically is like, here's everything that I know, and they get to see all of this shit, right? So the process takes an entire like 2 full days to complete, right? The entity has to subdue her subconscious, get into every fiber, every cell, her entire soul, right? He describes what he knows of his beginnings, and he tells her what his purpose is, which is still just like he just kind of tells her, you know, I'm here because of this and that, and I've been around forever. I'm just here, you know, to use up your body pretty much, and then you're going to be like some sort of a champion or something, right?
Right.
So on the outside, right, she's like in a weird kind of a coma, right? And the doctors and the orderlies can't figure out what's going on, and no matter what they do, they've shocked her, they've dunked her in, you know, shitty liquid, all kinds of crazy shit, right? But she won't wake up. Finally, she's put into a room called, and my idea was like the end, right? So it's this room like, that's in Soylent Green, you know, when the old guy goes to die, right? So it's just a blank circular room, white. They have her on the table. She's strapped down, but she's also got her restraints still on. She's got her, straight jacket and shit like that, right?
Okay.
They don't know what the fuck is going on, right? She just won't wake up, right? And this is basically her final space before they try to kill her, right? They're going to just get rid of her.
Right. Euthanize her.
Right. She's laid flat on that table, right? Strapped down, and there's an opening right underneath her head, like they're going to go in through the back, right? Just kind of destroy everything. Do whatever, right? Maybe even turn her into a vegetable. They don't know, because they don't really know how to kill her at this point. And we find out that there's a room behind that they can see through, and it's a doctor. But this doctor, we find out eventually, is like Dr. Cornelius, the one that created Weapon X.
Okay.
So he's there, but he doesn't have his glasses or anything like that, right? So he's the one that's been doing all the experiment and shit like that. So he can learn how to manipulate these mutant genes and
Weapon
the mutants and everything. Right. So this is like his first foray into creating, you know, something.
Sure.
He doesn't know what he's doing. And then, of course, Weapon X have blah, blah, right?
Blah, blah, blah. Wolverine, whoopity-doo.
So basically, he's got his finger on the button to end it, right? But then all of a sudden, her eyes open up, and there's just this huge burst of energy, and it explodes in the room, and it blinds Dr. Cornelius to the point where he could barely see. That's how he gets his glasses. Okay.
So I see.
So
I see what you did there.
So he's pretty much blind, right? So she immediately starts levitating off the bed and rips off the straitjacket and everything else, right? I mean, she's just now starting to be free. She starts to look around the room, and with a concussive energy shot, which is a power of Captain Comet, she blasts through the door, right? Boom. She finally gets her wish and kills everyone in the place except for the other people. Just goes through the halls, destroying everybody and letting all the other mutants go, right?
Okay.
she kind of helps everybody get free. She goes through everything. She ends up in the computer room and she grabs all the hard drives from the computers, right? Whatever she can get her hands on. So it's basically all the data on all the mutants that have ever been there, everything from her, all the footage, the videos, everything like that, right?
Right.
So she just pretty much just blasts her way out, and she flies all the way away, right? So what we kind of learn a little bit at this point is she retains her free will 100%. Because he doesn't, the entity doesn't ever talk to her. Only that first couple of days.
Oh.
So she's got her free will, but it's not like one of those little voices in her head that's like, hey, you need to do this. Hey, you need to do that. So
yeah, it's not like Venom
he's
talking to Tom Hardy.
100%. It's like, you're you have all these powers now and all this experience. What are you going to do with it?
Okay.
That's how he kind of lives, because she gains more powers throughout, right?
Okay.
And it only shows her visions every once in a while of different hosts and different paths and things like that, right? Rogue is a little bit different compared to the other ones. So this is a little bit weird, right? Because she can either be a hero or she could be a villain. Sometimes she's both. Because she really doesn't, she's like, fuck it. She does what she wants to because she's got these really cool powers, right? She still already has like her absorption power. She's got superhuman strength, the durability. She's got her.
But that's from is that from the Captain Comet side?
This is hers, right?
Oh, so it's different than what the comics are.
Yeah. Because Captain Comet actually, I mean, he flies and the dude can fucking like teleport and all this bullshit, right? There's like a million things that Captain Comet can actually do. But all the time, she's always discovering new powers.
Okay.
He kind of shows her visions of it, and then she's like, oh shit, I could do that. I could teleport. So she could do it. Right?
Gotcha.
So it's a slow deal to become who she is, right?
Right.
She gets the first few are like flight and vulnerability, intellect, concussive energy shot, accelerated healing, and slight clairvoyance. Okay. So it's almost like a spider sense. You know what I mean? So, okay. So this kind of gives you a little bit of what she's working with. So after she gets out of the institute, right, she flies to her old house, right, where her parents are still living. She opens the door to the house and walks through the door, and it's completely pitch black, right? Nobody's awake, or at least she thinks so. She gets to see all the family pictures in the whole house, and she's kind of walking around looking at the life that she never had. You know, so it's kind of like, oh shit, you know, This is fucked up. They forgot about me. There's nothing of me in here. Nothing, right? Well, she's walking in the kitchen, but she's still got like all that information on her too. Hard drives, whatnot, right? However, she's carrying that stuff, a briefcase. I don't fucking know.
Sure, sure.
So they meet her in the kitchen and they freak out, right? Because there's something or someone there. So of course, lights turn on and they see her. Her clothes are all tattered. She's all fucked up. She's dirty. Her hair's all fucked up. And she has an armful of like these metal things that are the hard drives, right?
Okay.
They stop and see her eyes and they know it's her, right? So she sets the hard drives down on the kitchen table. The lights flicker and she's gone, right? So the parents look at the hard drives and they have the Institute's name on them, right?
Okay.
And at the very end, we see her flying free, kind of just all by herself, just in the night. She still retains the name Rogue because she, what does this say? She is her own person, and that's why she retains that Rogue. Okay. And plus, she's a little bit different than all the other hosts that the Captain Comet entity had before. Sure. So she's still a Rogue, right? So she gets to go through. She visits all the places that he had been before, the entity had been before, and learns more things. Sees what's happened, how it's happened, how she could right some wrongs, how she could wrong some rights, different things like that. You know what I mean? So she's basically out there, and she is just a rogue human mutant that's out there. That's it.
I like it. I like it. I think that it's interesting because her power, her initial power, kind of is similar to the entity in draining the life,
Right?
So she could technically, does that like feed the entity inside her when she does that?
That
And
could
make
be,
it stronger and different powers maybe then?
It can make it last longer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So since she's got the absorption power, she can absorb just like he can when he's on his own. So she's just always gaining more power, and he's being able to stay around longer.
Okay.
So instead of 50,000 years, he could be around for 1,000,000 years.
That's
you know what I mean?
a lot of stories, 50,000 years.
Right, right?
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. You're the dream.
No, I like that. I like that it was two like completely different style of characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I like the idea of the basic like mutant insane asylum thing too. I think that you can make it a little darker that way starting out.
Yeah, I think it needs to be dark. I want it to be dark because I think that
Captain Comet isn't a character that I would think of as a dark character.
I wouldn't. I mean, he's a mutant that was born on another planet somewhere.
Yeah. But I mean, I like it. I like the idea of it. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
That's probably more than anybody's done with Captain Comet in a long time.
I probably in a long time. 'Cause I couldn't find shit about Captain Comet, and I did read like the Than or the Rand Thanagar War series where he was in it only for a brief time. He was on the Legion Squad for a little bit, Rebels for a little bit, but nothing really substantial,
Right.
But then seeing his powers, I was like, fucking this dude is like better than Superman. You know what I mean? His list of powers are fucking amazing. Let me see. His list of powers are superhuman strength, invulnerability, immense telekinetic powers, telepathic powers, flight, super speed, tremendous intellect, photographic memory, concussive energy shots, aura vision, teleportation, clairvoyance, postcognition, extended lifespan, accelerated healing, invisibility. I mean, come on. And then Rogue's only got absorption of life force, flight, superhuman strength, speed, and durability.
So you took her as the Rogue from after she drained Captain Marvel's powers. That's how she got all those powers.
Well,
which is fine. In your story, it could just be that she's a mutant and she got those powers. That's fine.
Yeah, she's a mutant that was born with the absorption power, but she didn't have any of the other stuff until Captain Comet came along.
Okay.
So like his flight and super strength and shit like that, she automatically got that. So she had the absorption, and she was starting to manifest because before she got with Captain Marvel's powers, she was just like a bitch.
Yeah. Well, kind of for good reason. I can't touch anybody without them,
Yeah.
Their memory.
Well, she was an asshole.
Yeah,
she was an asshole.
And their life force, and
Yeah. And this and the implications of her dropping off all that footage is going to open up the door for mutants,
right,
in the whole entire world.
I like that.
So
super cool.
Kind of brings it all together.
Super cool. I like it.
I did write that in like, I don't know, an hour.
Nice. Nice.
So I was kind of like, oh wow, I could see this.
Well, good use of characters. I dig that one.
Do you have, what's your next one?
My next one is an incomplete idea, but I've got a good basis for it, so we can talk about it afterwards. It is called Diana, Princess of Vengeance. And so it's Dawn as Wonder Woman lands her invisible jet on Themyscira. There's no movement on the island, save the smoke still wafting in the air from the fires that she saw from the jet. As she makes her way to the city, she sees in the distance a few of her sisters in the I wrote that twice. In the distance. While she can't quite make out which ones they are, one seems to be waving. She calls out and makes her way to them. Her eyes widen in horror as she approaches, noticing that they aren't moving and seem to be covered in a black ichor. She makes her way to the main temple in search of her mother. Hippolyta. Passing many more of her sisters in the same condition, catatonic and covered also in the black ichor. She rounds the corridor to the main chamber and freezes. Her arms go slack at her side. Tears begin to well in her eyes. In front of her, surrounded by 20 of her elite guard, her mother's body is suspended in the air by a myriad of barbed spikes piercing her body, and her head is on the floor of the temple in front of her. Diana falls to her knees in front of her mother, tears streaming down her eyes, and screams out. So now we flash back, right? That's our intro. So what this does is this is not quite an amalgamation, but it takes the Loki from Marvel, who goes to Ares and offers to help him finally defeat the Amazons.
Okay.
He says, the only thing I want is just one favor whenever I ask it. So they went down together and just wiped them out. You know, Loki's a badass. Ares is obviously a badass. Loki's a badass in a different kind of way. He's schemer,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was able to help take out, we'll see in a minute.
Okay.
Suddenly, we're back to Diana. And she feels a presence coming up from behind her. And it's Ares walking in their temple. And he just starts going, and she's going after him, but he's a god. So it's a good fight. Always is. And suddenly behind her, Loki appears and takes his staff and sticks it through the back of her shoulder, right?
Oh.
And they beat the holy shit out of her. Just as Ares is about to land the killing blow, Loki stops him and asks for his one favor to spare her life. And Ares is pissed. He's like, you've killed all the... she's beaten,
Yeah. Yeah.
So they leave because he has to honor his word, right? And she is just fucked. And she's dragging herself across the temple floor. Legs are broken. She is just beat.
It's just like a trail of blood.
Yeah, just terrible. Pummeled. And suddenly a woman in red appears. And she says, I can help you bring them all back. I can help you defeat Ares and get your vengeance. It'll only cost you your soul.
Was it Mephistopheles?
Well, we find out later it is. It's just some random female that looks like Mephisto. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
we're not for sure yet.
Right.
Diana is so broken, so angry, obviously so torn up because her family is dead, everybody's dead. So she accepts the offer. In exchange, she becomes bound to Zarathos. And so she sees the ichor leaving her, the black ichor leaving her sisters. She turns around and her mom's all in one piece laying in front of the spikes, but she's obviously alive.
Right.
And when the Radiant Red left, she emphasized the vengeance portion of it, right? And this is where we see flames start to flick around and chains coming out, and we get that Ghost Rider Wonder Woman. But
it's pretty, yeah.
Wonder Woman's already the most powerful host that Zarathos has ever had.
Right.
By far. so that she's powerful. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
somehow I don't know how I would work in the chains and the lasso of truth, but I would want to. You know, like somehow that becomes part of the chains. He can wrap them around people to get the truth, and then give them the penance stare, or she rather.
Or that's the penance rope.
Yeah, something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want that her will, because that's another character that has great will, right? Is Wonder Woman. Like, while we see the fiery skull and all that, there's times when it comes back, like her face just comes back and she talks to people. You know what I mean? Like, there's more of a balance in it.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen at night or some shit like that, right?
Right. So we cut to a scene of Ares entering Olympus, and all of a sudden, maybe as a reader, you see the outline of the invisible jet, and then it just bursts into flames. Because now she can travel through all of the world, you know what I mean? Through all that, and she just kicks the fucking shit out of Ares. Nobody can stop her. In fact, she might go crazy enough that she starts killing gods, you know?
Yeah.
Like any gods that try to stop her.
Right.
So the last cutscene I have, so I don't have all that fleshed out, but the last cutscene I have is Loki going to Mephisto. And he's like, I should get, the payment that we agreed upon. And he just hands him a box. And Loki walks away. And that's it.
What's in the box?
Exactly.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? I assume it would be something to go fuck with Thor. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Like it's something that would help him take down Thor, right?
Maybe not even take him down, just to fuck with him, because Loki's such a trickster. He might have just done that on the off chance to get something just to piss him off. You know what I mean? Like, I got Throg's soul.
Yeah, he wants Thor to destroy himself.
Right. Whatever it might be. Yeah, I don't know what that is, but yeah.
Then maybe Thor and Wonder Woman could get together and then have their own version of the Midnight Sons and Daughters, the Midnights. You know what I mean? Yeah, and they could,
But I think that would be a character you would never think of to be a Ghost Rider. And the hardest part with that was what would it take for Diana to say yes to Mephisto's deal?
Right, and that's every one of the Amazons being dead around her.
Now here's the best thing, right? While she's out fighting all this, when she comes back, the island is gone. It's been destroyed by an asteroid, just like Mephisto would do, right?
Yeah, right.
They're alive. Was it Johnny Blaze's dad that he brought back to life and then he died of cancer?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it'd be something like that, like they're just wiped out instantly.
Yeah.
So she comes back and it's all for nothing. And now her biggest villain really is Mephisto.
Right. She's the one taking him out and she's fighting gods at the same time.
Right.
Like Apocalypse.
And I thought, you could do a really cool version of Hellstorm, son of Satan, Damian Hellstrom, mixed with Etrigan.
Ooh, that would be pretty cool.
As a side character, if they went on with that story.
Yeah. See, I wanted to do something with Etrigan because I think he's an underused kind of a character. He's a good let's throw in Etrigan. That would be cool.
Well, I think that would be a side character that would make sense for that story. It's a demon
right.
from hell,
that
other
kind of
demons
does
of hell and gods and whatnot.
Gods and demons. It'd be crazy.
Yeah. Demons,
that would be a cool story.
Gods in a bottle.
It is 100% I don't see why I wouldn't have ever wanted to even think about putting Ghost Rider with Wonder Woman. That's just crazy though. I mean, that would be the weirdest fucking thing. And her being somewhat, with the powers that she already has, the powers for good and all the strength and everything like that. But then Ghost Rider being just like a fucking loose cannon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you think about like in a normal day, she could just be like fighting as Wonder Woman, and then something happened, and she just Spirit of Vengeance out. You know what I mean? Like,
right? Yeah, it's just like the Zarathos takes over.
And maybe you're right. Maybe the lasso does become the chain.
Yeah,
yeah.
The lasso becomes the chain, and then it becomes
chain
like
of truth.
the chain of truth, and that's what happens if they don't tell the truth. It burns them up.
Oh, there you go.
And it takes and
then you could still. I think you have the pin and stare separate. I like that.
Yeah.
Though, that you wrap it around them. If they lie, that burns them.
Yeah,
because right now the lasso of truth just forces you to tell the truth.
You're like, I didn't steal that, but I did.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so that was an idea, and I thought it would take two really different characters and throw them together and make something completely different. You know.
That's cool. Yeah, that's fucking badass.
Really, I just wanted to see an invisible jet burst into flames and become like a big fiery jet. You know what I mean? Because Ghost Riders have been on everything at this point. I don't believe I've ever seen them in a jet.
I don't think I've seen him on a camel.
Weird.
That was a very good one. That could really like just even a character that is possessed by a spirit of vengeance. You know, that already has massive powers would be amazing. Well, I mean, again, we've created these all powerful people that can't be stopped.
Oh, well, I get a little grittier in my last one.
Yeah.
So a little more street level.
Yeah. That's good. I went with my next two. Again, I had the first one and I was like, all right, that's how I'm going to do this. But then how am I going to mix the next one? So I picked, I went for Dr. Fate / Nightcrawler.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I couldn't think of anybody that could be more opposite because Dr. Fate is 100% like magic and Nightcrawler's all religious.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's a very hard dichotomy, and throughout all of his stuff, he still has to wrestle with that dichotomy all the time because even though he knows that, you know, I mean, he still chooses to believe on his own.
Okay.
I mixed some characters together.
Okay.
What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna ask if this was like a character like Kurt Wagner gets the Dr. Fate's mask or whatever, the mask of Naboo.
Yep. Yeah, the mask, the gauntlet, the everything.
All the
he gets
Naboo.
everything, right? So okay, so this is another one where I have like 6 or 7 pages, right?
You're good, man.
So this particular version of Kurt Wagner was born in 1878, right, in Germany, right?
Okay.
To parents Eric and Linda, which Eric and Linda actually were Dr. Fate at one point in the DC universe, right?
Nice.
Immediately when he came out, the midwife and his parents were surprised to see a blue-colored, 3-fingered boy that had a tail, right? I mean, immediately he came out just like everybody looks normal, but he doesn't.
Right.
They're very Catholic, of course, and they are actually shunned by the church and the other villagers, right? Because the one thing they didn't do, they didn't kill Kurt and they didn't give him away. You know what I mean? They basically were like, no, we're taking this on. We love this kid. We're going to raise him no matter what he looks like. He's ours. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, Eric and Linda, they're actually archaeologists, right? They specialize in going to Egypt. And in the late 1800s, early 1900s, this was kind of like the beginning of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
You know? That's what I'm kind of thinking. Kind of at the beginning of the whole Pharaoh craze. You know, British
all the
Museum.
Egyptology, sure.
Right. All that shit like that. But they're Germans, right?
Right.
They have this huge love for their son, and the only reason that they left what they were doing in Egypt was because Linda got pregnant, and they wanted to raise a baby in their birth village, right?
Okay.
They wanted to go back. They had all this knowledge. They're super rich, everything like that, right? So they're a well-to-do family, big house, everything like that. But yet everybody in town's like, fuck that. You got a blue kid. He's a mutant or whatever the fuck he is. He's like technically going to be one of the first mutants that kind of pop up in this world, right?
Sure.
And the whole world that they knew turned their backs on them, right? So before they knew that their time was coming, that the mob was going to come to get them, right?
Okay.
So yeah, like pitchforks and fucking fire and shit like that, right? So they knew it was going to happen. So they basically packed as fast as they could, right? And they barely escape, right? But they're on the top of this hill. They see their big giant house just burning in the night, right? It's completely, the townspeople are burning it down because they think they're witches and bullshit, right?
Right.
You know, even though it's like only 1878, you know, they're still very, in this little German town, they're still very religious type deal.
Sure.
You know, almost like a Frankenstein type of a thing. So whenever they were actually archaeologists, you know, a couple of years before this, they made a stupid ass purchase, right, in Egypt, right? And it was just a piece of land they got swindled into, right? That was kind of out in the middle of nowhere, right? But it was based on the assumption that there was this legend, right? So it's great. They have a place to go.
Sure.
You know, they were like, oh shit, well, we can go there, you know, instead of trying to get rid of it and doing whatever. So they have to dress as paupers and they have to kind of travel all the way to Egypt from their home place in Germany, right? Which, of course, compared, it's not across the sea and shit like that. So
Sure.
they gotta figure out how to hide Kurt the whole time, but at the same time getting all the way to where they're going, right?
Right.
As soon as they get there, they the piece of land is actually kind of on the cusp of the desert, kind of near some mountains and stuff like that, right? Just some rocky mountains, some very small like cliffs and stuff like that, and it's kind of like nestled in this weird shitty spot, right? There's no water, there's no nothing, right? So that's why they thought they got bamboozled, right? Bamboozled. So so they finally make it, you know, escaping their persecution. They get all the way there. Nobody's seen Kurt yet, you know. Nobody really even knew that they had a baby. So immediately when they get there, because his father knows he has a lot of money on him, basically. So they had to kind of keep low key so they didn't have people like robbing him.
Sure.
Even though his dad's a badass and his mom's a badass too. You know, everything that they learned being archaeologists to begin with, they had to protect a lot of their shit. So they had to learn how to fight. They had to learn how to do all kinds of shit. Super smart, super badass, everything like that, right? And they got a lot of street smarts as well. So they're starting this whole brand new life there, right? So as soon as they get there, he goes to the nearest town, buys a small tent, right? And a few little supplies, right? You don't really get to see him going into town. You just know that he kind of grabs his stuff before they go out there. And then they start building a new house, right?
Right.
He's got enough money, but he doesn't want to go buy everything that he needs right up front. He's just like, hey, I'm going to start here. We're going to live out here for a little while. The baby's still a baby, you know. We're out in the middle of the desert. So, I mean, we're going to have to pass the time and shit like that, right? So he teaches Kurt everything throughout, you know, the first 12 years of his life. But his mom, he's learning like trades, like how to build things and, you know, how to be agile, whatever, right? Fighting, stuff like that while they're there. Cause it's just them three. Every once in a while, one of them goes to and not Kurt. Kurt has to stay there with one of them, but one of them goes to town to get some supplies, right?
Sure.
And so he's taught everything. You know, Kurt's taught everything that they know. And at the same time, they're still practicing Catholicism. You know, they're still they're still praying, everything like that. So spirituality, languages, by the time he's 12, he already knows like 12 different languages and how to write them, speak them fluently, everything like that, right?
Right.
He's just like super smart for having two super smart parents, right? And he's a mutant through and through. There's nothing that catalyzed him becoming the mutant that he is. It just happened, right?
Right.
His genes happened, you know. So it was nothing that the parents did or ate or whatever toilet seat they sat on. You know what I mean?
Radioactive toilet seat turned my kid
right,
into
right.
Demon boy.
So by the time he reaches 12, the house is built. There's they have some gardening going on. They kind of turn an inhospitable spot of land into something that's a little bit hospitable. Right. It's theirs. They live there. They've escaped everything, right?
A little like Swiss Family Robinson.
Kind of. But yet they're still close to civilization to where they can get modern supplies and whatever they need, He's taught Kurt how to build everything. She's taught him, and he has too, because they have these really like high IQs plus all their college learning, stuff like that, everything that they've ever learned, right? Basically, he's learning the capabilities that he already has, right? And the physical abilities. And they just start, after his mind reaches a certain point, then his body starts taking over and he becomes like fucking Nightcrawler. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I mean, he's got sticky hands, everything like that. And they love him to death.
Can he teleport at this point?
Not yet.
Okay, sorry.
So he's basically advancing further than his parents.
Okay.
But I mean, it's a happy life, even though he's still kind of like, man, I don't. They've taught him this whole time that he needs to stay away from civilization because of how evil people are.
Okay.
They tell him the story of how they got there. They get newspapers every once in a while, and you get to see these other mutants, being born and getting killed and all this other shit, right?
Right.
Mutants being evil, all this other crap, right? So it's just the shit's happening. He's been in there for like 20 years, right?
Okay.
So about this time, he's outside. It's at night, and he accidentally teleports. It just happens, right?
Okay.
He's never been to this place where he goes to, so it's not like a normal Nightcrawler, because Nightcrawler has to see where he's going.
Right.
He doesn't have to necessarily, but it's a better way to get there.
He doesn't teleport far.
Mm-hmm.
That's his deal, right?
Yeah, it doesn't teleport far, and this is still not far. I mean, this is still miles and shit like that. But he teleports on the outskirts. Yeah. Yeah, not in the great. He can't, teleport to China and shit like that yet. So basically, he ends up on the outskirts of town, and he's freaking out because it's the pitch black night. He's just like, poof, you know what I mean?
Right.
He ends up out there, and it's like, holy shit, where am I? How do I get back? I've never been this way, Nothing is. I've never seen this. This is something brand new. So he quickly finds some place to hide, which is like a small outcropping of rocks and everything like that. While he's back there, he hears some footsteps. Right? He's like, "Ah, shit!" So he turns around, and it's two little kids, and they fucking totally start screaming and freaking out because he's got the fangs, he's got the elf ears, his body's blue, he's just everything, right? His clothes are all made by his mom, so they kind of hide his features a little bit, but not the color of his skin.
Right.
So these little kids are freaking the fuck out, right? So he's like, he can't stand the screaming, so he's like curled up in a ball, and he starts picturing his house. He's picturing his family so he can kind of jump to somewhere else, right? Not necessarily teleport, but just like get all that shit out of his mind because he's freaking out. Never been around that shit. Right. That's one of the things that is a differentiator because he's so smart. He's so agile. He's so badass, right? But yet he's never met other people except for his parents.
Right.
So that's a big drawback for him right there. So immediately when he pictures them, boom, he ends up back at home. Right. So he rushes in the house, right? And he's like, oh, holy shit. This is what happened. He's telling him, I don't know how this happened. I teleported or whatever the hell this is. I ended up over there. And some kids saw me and they're like, holy shit, some kids saw you. So they start getting shit ready, right? It's middle of the night.
Right.
They're starting to get a lot of shit ready, right? Because throughout this whole time too, his parents are still archaeologists, but one of the reasons, like I said, that they got this parcel of land was because some dude kind of told them that, hey, guess what? there's this ancient Pharaoh's tomb, that's buried near here, and nobody knows where it's at. This is going to be the end all of everything.
Right.
If you buy this land, it's all yours. You know what I mean? But they've been going to those mountains that are nearby, finding, caves, and they've been excavating certain things, and they found little things here, little things there. Nothing really too crazy. But they realize that they gotta scat. You know what I mean? They got to get out of there again. So the whole time they're thinking, shit, I didn't want my kid to live through this. I didn't want him to have to see this. But he realizes, just the evil in people the whole time, right? And because he knows what's happening, right? Now, the last time they were escaping, they get to see their house burning down. This time, they just see a mob coming towards them again,
Jeez.
towards the house. So they finally get to the cave, right? They have some supplies. They're just going to stay away as long as they could, right? Go back when they could, get some things, and then maybe try somewhere else. Because they've been at the same place for like 20 years, right?
Okay.
Somewhere around there. I mean, for a very, very long time, right? And they were just always hoping that he'd never had to encounter that. That's why they kind of put themselves in timeout, per se.
Right.
They're like, this is our world. I don't care what happens. We're going to shield you from this, which is kind of a detriment to him anyway, because he didn't know how to react in a situation,
Right.
So, but they've been in there looking, because they're like, whatever, we found a couple of things. They'll never lose that archaeologist mind that they have. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they teach him how to do it, right? But they're in this cave the whole time, right? So they're just passing the time. It's been a couple of days, and they're like, well, fuck, we're just in here for a long time. Why don't we just go digging some more? So they do, right? So they go back into this one part of the cave where they stopped, right? Found a couple artifacts, and then they start just rooting around and everything, right? But it's a good place for them to go, because even whenever it was daylight, Kurt could go outside because they could get into the caves.
Okay.
So it's another place to learn. So it was another familiar place that they could go somewhere else, but it was always in the opposite direction of where the town was.
Okay.
So he's never close. Nobody would ever be around that shit. They thought that the whole fucking Pharaoh thing was bullshit, right? Everything like that, right? So while they're digging, kind of around that last place, right? All of a sudden, one of the walls just basically like falls down after certain things start popping up. They start seeing more things leading towards like this one little area, and this whole wall just like crashes down, right? And they're like, holy shit, what is that, right? So they see this giant sarcophagus, right? But it's standing on, it's not laying down flat. It's standing vertical.
Okay. Like
Right.
up against a wall or like suspended?
Kind of up against a wall. I mean, it's just some ancient place. There was really nothing. There's nothing ornate about it.
Okay.
There's nothing. I mean, it's just a sarcophagus. It's like in the shape of like almost a hot dog or some shit like that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's just rounded, nothing. And the only thing at the bottom of it,
I'm hungry.
yeah, the only thing that it has chiseled into it is the name Naboo. They don't even know it's a name or anything like that. But then they're like, holy shit, this is what we were told, that this was here, you know?
Okay.
So they were like, holy crap. So Naboo, the history of Naboo, he was a Lord of Order, and he was a cosmic being who basically arrived on Earth billions of years before everybody else, right? So he could fight the Lords of Chaos, right? So, and it's basically
Like Clarion the Witch Boy, right?
kind of.
Isn't he a Lord of Chaos?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know all the different Lords of Chaos, but there's different ages of chaos.
Mhm.
And the last age of chaos is whenever he was in ancient Egypt, like 40,000 years before, like, who was it? Like Cleopatra and shit like that.
Oh, okay.
You know, so he's been in there for fucking ever, right?
Sure.
Because he defeated the last age of these people, right? And he was like, you know what? I'm gonna go into exile suspension on my own until the next wave comes or something like that, right?
Okay.
So he's always known that that it was going to happen again. So he's perfect, right? Perfectly preserved. And they're just like, what the fuck is this, right? So they're like, I don't understand, why this person is standing right here. And he's a huge guy and everything like that. Complete Adonis, whatnot, just like a total badass, right?
Yeah, I feel that guy.
Yeah.
I'm the same. Yeah, go.
Yeah.
No,
But he's like perfectly preserved. It looks like they just shut the lid on him yesterday, right?
Okay, wow.
Nothing wrong with him, right? So he's in like a suspended animation, but like a self-suspended. So they're skeptical of that legend still, even though they know that they've heard the name Naboo. They've kind of been around everything, and they're like, I don't know, this just seems too right to be right. You know what I mean?
Sure. Too easy.
Yeah, it just seems fucking super easy, right? So while they're standing there, they're staring at the face of Naboo, right? But then his eyes slowly start to open up. So he's looking around, and they're freaked out, all of them. Kurt is, everything like that. He gets to Kurt, and his eyes stop. And all of a sudden, this really like slow gas kind of smoke kind of starts emitting from behind him, and his parents start choking. Kurt's parents, mom and dad basically are starting to cough, and like they fall down and everything. Kurt can't see them, but yet he's not coughing, nothing like that, right?
Okay.
So basically, he does find them in the mist or whatever it is, the smoke, and all of a sudden, it's like he notices that they're dead. His parents just fucking died, like right then, right in front of him, but like on the other side of the room, kind of shit, right? So Naboo is just kind of like watching, and from the sarcophagus, and while he's kind of getting out, kind of walking around. But Kurt runs over to him, and he grabs them both, and he freaks out, right? So he starts immediately teleporting around Naboo, and he's kicking the shit out of him, right? But Naboo's not even moving. So he's like teleport one side, and he's like punch, 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 punch. Teleports the other side, he's like kick, kick, kick. He's like boom, 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 boom. Until Naboo's just like, what the fuck? So he grabs him by the neck, right? And he kind of like pulls him really close to him and just starts looking at him. His weird features, his ears, his teeth, his eyes, everything like that. Because at this point, his eyes have turned red.
Okay.
In a weird way. Not Naboo, but Kurt's have. So it's just weird. And he's kind of like, holy shit, I've never seen somebody like you before. This must be what that new age was. So he looks into, and this is a weird deal too, because he doesn't necessarily look into him in a way, but he looks into him in the molecular level.
Okay.
He goes all the way down, because Naboo's a god and he's been around forever. He goes down to his fucking DNA and notices that it's different than what he had been seeing before. So the mutant gene is starting to emerge. So that's what happened with Kurt. It was just a natural thing, right?
Is that the next age of chaos?
Yes, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. It's happening already, because everything that they've been seeing in the papers, these mutants have been coming up and wreaking havoc, and there's been good ones, there's been bad ones. Yeah. So that foreshadowing is kind of already there. They're like, holy shit, this is kind of weird. Good thing we don't live in the city, So then another thing that he does is he goes through his memories, right? So he gets to see Kurt, kind of coming out, being born, because he can look at all that stuff. Kurt doesn't remember any of that shit. Babies don't. But he gets to see them running, and he gets glimpses of their house burning, them getting chased, having to come over, and then this new chase and everything. And he immediately feels sorry for him. And he's like, shit. You've been treated fucking bad this whole time. Kurt's like cursing and crying. He's praying to God to like take him down, everything like that, right? And he wished that he had died instead of them, right? So then Naboo, he explains his whole origins and tells him about the last age of chaos and everything like that. And he does it all by just basically going into his mind, right?
Right.
So Kurt's just basically on the ground, just like still reeling from one, getting chased out of his home. 2, he learns that he can teleport. 3, he's a fucking mutant. 4, his parents are dead. 5, they find a fucking ancient fucking god, you know? So all of this shit's happening all at once, but he snaps out of it, right?
Right.
And so all of a sudden, you know, he asks why he was the one that was spared. And of course, Naboo tells him that it's almost by chance that he found him. And it's by chance that it was a mutant that found him. So he's going to be the new Fate, right?
Oh, okay.
So, with the rise of the mutants, this is the new age of, you know, chaos, right? So he needs somebody that already has that mutant gene to be able to teach and become part of and everything like that, to start basically wiping out these other Lords of Chaos. You know what I mean?
Right.
I like that name.
Yeah.
I'm a Lord of Chaos.
Lord of Chaos rule. Sorry.
So he endows him with, you know, his weapons, right? Which are the Amulet of Anubis, the Cloak of Destiny, and the Helmet of Fate, right?
Okay.
At this point, you know, Kurt still has no choice. You know, he's like, everything's gone. What am I going to do? So thus begins his 20-year journey of Naboo teaching him everything about magic, how to use it, how to use all of everything that they have, right? He teaches them how to find the specific Lords of Chaos, even though, you know, they're mutants. So that's a new kind of a deal for him. You know, he's still got a kind of a blueprint for it, right?
Does he have that
so as soon as
cool tower that he can just make appear?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of the game here.
Yeah. He'll have to figure that out. He figures that one's out later. But so after the 20 years are done and he emerges from the cave, right? Well, I didn't put that in there. I thought about it and I was like, nah, I think that would be later.
Gotcha.
Right. So he basically comes out of the cave, full garb, everything, right? Dr. Fated up. He flies straight up to the upper atmosphere and a little bit into space, and he just freaking contemplates everything and how he's going to do what he needs to do, right?
Right.
So he's learned magic, this badass magic the whole time. Part of the magic that he learned is how to conceal his real visage and make him look like somebody else without the power of some mechanical device like the Nightcrawler had. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So he uses magic to trick everybody, kind of like by getting into their brain and saying, hey, you're looking at a real person, you know? So he could do whatever he wants to at that point,
Kind of
right?
like the glamour.
Exactly, right? So for the next 100 years, basically, he hides in the shadows and he just basically takes down all these newer Lords of Chaos that have risen and starting to take over. Nobody knows who he is, nothing like that. But at the same time, in this next 100 years, metahumans and mutants are becoming more, you know, prolific. You have like the Age of Marvels and everything like that. So, you know, all the major superheroes in this world are there, but nobody still knows him. Nobody still knows that he even exists. Nothing. Everything that he does is so low key, and he gets away with it in a way that he can go anywhere, be anywhere, use magic, whatever. You know what I mean? And that whole time, yeah, he's building his little Tower of Fate and shit like that, you know, in Salem, you know, because he goes to the new world where, you know, the magic was strong, even though he's still Catholic. So it's the same dichotomy that he's having. So basically, he comes out of the shadows. The first appearance is basically when he shows up in front of the whole entire world because one of the Lords of Chaos appears above New York, right? And I had to put it in the real world, and I thought, oh shit, it's fucking Avengers bullshit, right? But no, this one Lord of Chaos is there, just fucking wiping out everybody. So all the metahumans, all the X-Men at this point, everything, right? They're all getting their asses kicked by this dude. But Kurt's there. He shows up, full Dr. Fate outfit, you know, full helmet, everything like that. It's been training for years, taking down everybody. He goes after this dude and takes him down, but while the whole world is watching.
Wow.
So everybody's like, who the fuck is this dude, right? So he actually does become a part throughout all the different things of every single team that there is, pretty much.
Okay.
He's the one tying thing because he was like pretty much the first superhero.
Okay.
You know what I mean? In this world, right? So it basically cements him. He doesn't become like a Doctor Strange or anything like that. He just simply known as Fate.
Nice.
They're like, that's who he is, and he's got these Omega level powers, everything like that. But yet he still retains all of that shit from back in the 1800s of how people were horrible, and he's seen everything grow up through the ages. He's seen racism. He's seen whatever, the anti-mutant leagues and shit like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, in his core sense, he is an Avenger. You know what I mean? So in a way, he could have, in like 2025 or something like that, he could have literally created the new Avengers type of a deal.
The new Avengers.
Or because the Avengers hadn't even formed, there wasn't a tying bind throughout that whole deal. So yeah, that was my Dr. Fate Nightcrawler.
I like
Amalgam.
it, man. Yeah, that's definitely kind of like the other one. The one I did just before that is two characters I would have never thought to put together.
Right. And this one, he doesn't have revenge. He just fucking is like doing what he needs to do. And because the original Dr. Fate in the comic books, same thing happened to his father. And Naboo was like, you know what? I feel sorry for you. I'm going to teach you how to be me. And then like the second and third, there's been so many different fates or Dr. Fates that it's kind of crazy. And plus his fucking powers are astronomical as well. They're just all over the fucking place.
I think the only two Dr. Fates I know is like Kent Nelson.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that.
That's like the main one that I know. And then at least in the cartoons, maybe it was the Young Justice cartoons, Zatara, Zatanna's dad, ended up with Dr. Fate stuff.
He's shown up
to save Zatanna from it.
Yeah, he's shown up in like Smallville.
Yeah.
And it's that same one that you're talking about, I think. That same version of Dr. Fate that shows up in most of like Young Justice and Smallville and everything.
The run in Young Justice was really good. Like really good. Like they go to the tower, like it's good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like both those characters, so that works for me.
Yeah. Nightcrawler, again, is such a dichotomy, but he's a badass. He's underutilized. He is like one of my favorite X-Men,
Well, and the difference really between him and honestly the other characters who have been Dr. Fate is he's a valid opponent on his own. You know what I mean? Like Nightcrawler could fuck you up.
Dude, Nightcrawler is like a fucking badass. I mean, he is like...
Think of like the X-Men 2, like when that scene where he goes through the White House.
Yeah. And he's just kicking the shit out of everybody. That's kind of how I envisioned his fight with Naboo, even though Naboo's like, what the fuck? Just kind of like just getting punched and not even moving like a Terminator and shit, I
didn't even know you were there, fly.
Yeah. He just like grabs him by the neck and it's like, what the fuck are you? And then he takes pity on him again, because he destroyed everything. So what are you going to do? You're going to turn him into your fucking the newest herald.
Yeah, absolutely. And you
got no choice, bitch.
You could make a really cool team, like especially in this world where everything's twisted around. Like I remember like when they did this in the 97, they did like a JLX. So there's like an X-Men and Justice League thing. I don't really remember it, like reading it very much, but I just remember that it was a thing. But you could build a cool team, like, and have this version, this Fate, if you will.
Well, and then, I mean, both of my amalgams involved in mutant.
Yeah.
Because I just see mutants being able to, the characters being able to meld with somebody else, but still retain their powers.
Sure. Or some version of, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. and then they just get more powerful over the deal. Even if he created the Avengers, or say he created the real X-Men, like he got together with the other mutants and created the fucking X-Men, he would be the leader instead of fucking Professor X, and Professor X would actually be on the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he would actually be
really
somebody
ever
there.
feel like Dr. Fate was so much a leader for like any of those like things that he was a part of, but he was kind of the guide. Like people listened to him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he was never the leader guy.
Yeah, he's got the beyond
Because
Omega level powers too.
Yeah, he's just too powerful to be, you know. Like he would tell them we have to do this, and they would be like, okay.
Well, him and the Spectre are about on level. You know,
close,
I mean, the Spectre,
close, for sure.
They're both like.
What about the Phantom Stranger?
Phantom Stranger, yeah. I mean, there would be a lot of things that I would throw
Is that
in
when
with
you
this,
lightly
like
use your left hand?
you only sit on it for like an hour, so you don't feel.
You put it in the
nothing.
freezer, so it feels like
a
ghost.
It's a Phantom Stranger.
That's right.
No, but that one again came out today.
Nice.
And it took me like 2 hours, and I was like, oh man, you could do this. And I just wanted to end it kind of at his beginnings, but then add in that little caveat of how he actually gets seen.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Super cool.
Almost like a John Johns type of a deal. Like he's always been there.
Right. Right. Know? That's actually what I was thinking about earlier when you were talking about Captain Comet's powers, was like, and you're like, yes, he's cool. Well, you know, all these cool powers way better than Superman. I'm like Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's like, come on.
Green.
Yeah. He's not ugly. I gotta stop talking shit on Martians. They're pretty.
Yeah, man. That's Martian shaming, and that's just wrong, sir. All right. So you ready for my last one here, sir?
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, this one, I came up with a couple names. I don't really know what I'm going to call it. But I call it the Devil of Gotham's Kitchen. Or the Hooded Devil.
Ooh. So it's like a mixture of Hooded Justice?
No. So I got a little bit of a backstory here, so I'll just read that real quick. Jason Murdock was born to Battling Jack Murdock and a mother who his father had told him died shortly after Jason was born. Battling Jack Murdock was a middle-of-the-road boxer. Okay? He's going to grow up a little bit like one of the characters we know.
Yes.
He grows up in a rough neighborhood in the area of New Gotham City known as the Kitchen, not far from Crime Alley. And Jason's father pushed him really hard with his studies so he wouldn't end up like him, you know. And Jason was, you know, because his dad like really pushed the studies on him. He was picked on a lot, you know, because he wouldn't go out of the lines of what his dad said, basically, you know, and he was right. Dad wouldn't let him like work out and fight and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So everybody thought he was kind of a, you know, coward. As you do.
A wussy fucking wheat tit.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. So frustrated, Jason began training, you know, kind of by himself in secret. And at age 11, seeing an out of control truck about to hit an old man, of course, he crosses this as he's crossing the street. Jason pushes him out of the way, and the truck careens to a stop, crashes to a stop, and what it's hauling lands in his eyes like a radioactive isotope.
Ooh.
Yes. And it blinds him. He is blind. Old Jason Murdock. Yeah. So while he's in the hospital recovering, he finds that all of his other senses have heightened to superhuman levels. In fact, it's almost overpowering. Like he can hear things going on the other side of the city. He can hear people's heartbeats, you know. So it's just kind of ridiculous. Probably the biggest thing that it does, just to kind of give you some ideas, like he can read a book by running his fingers across the ink print. You know what I mean?
From the raised lettering.
From the raised lettering from the ink. But really his biggest thing is it gives him a radar sense, which is basically like a mental image of his surroundings based off pulses that his brain makes, right? And it gives him a 360-degree picture of what's going on around him in like 100-foot radius. That's without him even thinking about it. Like if he like really concentrated, he'd go further than that. Those enhanced senses also give him absolutely perfect balance. So after returning home, Jason began training with a mysterious guy who just showed up, and his name was Nightstick. And 2 years went by, and Jason learning not only to control his powers, but also becoming proficient acrobat and fighter, right? This was when his father was shot and killed in an alley, you know which one, for not throwing a fight. It's Crime Alley.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Of course, Jason, he gets pissed and he goes after, and he's 13 at this point because it happened when he was 11. Now he's 13, and he goes after these dudes. And he really just fucks up a bunch of people as 13 years old. And the guy at the end, of course, has the heart attack when he pulls the gun on him, just like Daredevil. He goes after the last guy and knocks a prostitute out the window, and she dies. And that's where he's like, oh shit, what have I done, right? So he leaves, and he goes to try to find Nightstick, but Nightstick's nowhere to be found. Like, he just disappears. So he's an orphan now. And he's taken to the Margaret Wayne orphanage, where he's taught by Father Jean-Paul not only restraint, but also how to fight. Like, he's like training not only him, but maybe, a couple other guys as well. And of course, Jason's just really good at it, like right away. And he does start acting out a little bit, like he breaks out sometimes of the orphanage, and like perhaps one time, he steals the wheel off a Dark Claw's Batmobile or whatever. That's not really in there, but you know what I mean. But really what John Paul's doing is working for, I'm just going to use Logan Wayne because that's their universe's Batman. I didn't create a Batman character.
Gotcha.
He's working with Batman, and Batman's been keeping an eye on Jason Murdock this whole time, since his father was shot in Crime Alley. Right? Because it's a tie to him. And then he goes to his orphanage, and basically becomes, and I think in that world it wasn't Robin, it was Sparrow or something like that, to become that guy. And if we're going to keep using that lore, basically everything happens the same way as, he goes out and fights, but he's really violent. He just, he's got a lot of anger. And he gets killed by the hyena, which was their version of the Joker. It was the Joker and somebody that would make you into a hyena. I don't remember what it was offhand. Doesn't matter.
That was an episode of Buffy.
Yeah. Right? Of course, our Batman, basically our Dark Claw or whatever, he finds out, and basically, and that's the other side. I didn't say this part because he, of course, his dad told him that his mom died. He kind of did his own detective work when he was working with Dark Claw, Batman, whatever he is, to find out that his mom wasn't dead, and she was distributing like she's a drug head in like this country. So he goes there after, and it's all a setup, of course, where the hyena beats him with a crowbar and kills him. Blows up the place, right?
Damn.
However, the hyena was hired. The reason that Dark Claw couldn't save him is because the hyena was hired and working with Reyes al Doom. So,
Damn, he makes a lot of people.
Yeah, well, just two right there.
Right.
Raish al Doom, which I did actually look up what it would be in Arabic, which is what Raish al Ghul is. But I don't remember what it is, and I can't say it, so it doesn't matter. So Raish al Doom. So because he was interrogating him, thinking that, there was some kind of why he was working with that maniac kind of a deal, kind of like the same story that you get with Jason Todd, right?
Right.
So Raish al Doom basically fakes, gives just the same story, gives him a fake body, takes him and resurrects him in the Lazarus pits. And he trains under the shadow or the League of the Hands. No, Legion. Well, yeah, something like that. The Legion of Hand. Whatever. The Shadow Hand. Whatever the hell you want to call them. Some version
Legions.
of the League of Assassins and the Hand going together. That's what it has to be. I didn't come up with a good name for it.
The Hands of Legion.
So he trains with them for a while after coming back, and obviously he comes back. When he first comes back to life, all his powers are, it's like he's never dealt with them before. They're just like, I'm hearing everything. I'm like he never had that training that got him there. You know what I mean?
Okay,
He's never had that discipline. So they create a helmet for him. A red hood helmet. That lets him control how much of the outside world comes into him. It's also lets him control other, like he can detonate certain bombs with it. He can also, like, let's say somebody's shooting like a sonic beam at him. He can close it off completely where he doesn't hear any of that. So it takes away that weakness.
Okay.
Because he doesn't need to hear anything to know where people are at. He can feel their body heat. You know what I mean? He's got all kinds of ways to do that. He can smell people. He can distinguish people, who they are, by their odor, by their just natural odor. That's a real daredevil power.
Yeah.
He can also distinguish people by hearing their heartbeats and who they are too. But if it was that situation where he had to, shut down everything coming into the mask, he just uses his feeling to fight. And he practices this for, quite a few years. Because at this point, he's probably 18, 19, really. You know what I mean? At the most. And here's where I think I would like the whole Under the Red Hood story to come, like he goes back to the kitchen to take back the kitchen and like fight against all the evil and finds out that the hyena's still alive and Darklaw didn't kill him or whoever's those people are, the Batman.
Right.
But the cool thing about this is that automatically, Jason Murdock is a sniper, immediately on the fly sniper. He knows where everything is in a 150-degree radius all the way around him, up, down, whatever. So he can even and if he just sat and concentrated, he can take that out way far. Which 150 feet around is still pretty damn good, especially seeing behind you. So you would see a lot of shots of him just taking shots without looking in any direction. But I think the helmet adds something where you can take away some of his weakness. You know what I mean? Like being able to have those defenses, like, oh, that's a sonic beam, boom, shut everything down. He can still fight. He's a badass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's got the same technology that his world's Batman has in his helmet. That really kind of allows him to, like you said, just think about it, and the shit's done.
And he can control. I think the biggest thing, being able to control that input. What's coming into him, like how much he wants of it, and it allows him to focus.
Right.
I think in the last, so there'd be two fights that would happen. One would be Nightstick. We find out later, we don't find this out, but he was the first Robin / Sparrow, whatever you want to call him. And it's Dick Grayson or whatever you want to merge him with it. I don't care.
Yeah.
But he's that character. And the reason he disappeared was because he was trying to teach Jason, he's basically trying to make him not become the next Robin or Sparrow, but teach him a different way. And then he got all angry and went after those dudes, right? And accidentally killed the girl, which we find out later is Typhoid Mary and Daredevil. But I would do like a compilation of maybe that and Cheshire, who I like, or Lady Shiva.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, how would you throw Elektra into this one?
Well, I think so that was kind of my thought too, was that you could use Elektra and Cheshire as almost the same character, you know, and make it a love interest down the road, whatever. But yeah, I think so. He has that fight. I think that would be the first confrontation, is that he has the fight with Nightstick, which really I just wanted a reason to name a guy Nightstick. So like it's Nightwing, but he's Stick. Okay, Nightstick. Why hasn't anybody ever done this?
Right.
But I just picture, like, did you ever read the What If? It's an older one, I believe, of What If Daredevil was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Mm-mm.
Again, just ridiculous. Even in the comics, when Daredevil's used a gun, like, he can shoot stuff out of the sky. You know, like let's say you throw something, you just shoot it out of the air, and then shoot you, and then shoot the guy behind him, and then shoot the guy over there. You know, like,
right.
He's just ridiculously good. Plus, he's like Batman level athletics. You know what I mean? And acrobatics and all that. So it would be interesting, I think, to see, like, his main, of course, the main people he's going to go after is the Hyena and Darkclaw or Joker, Batman, whatever versions of those you have. But I think the interaction between him and basically what would be, I would call him Rick Grayson, by the way.
Rick Grayson.
Because that's what he was after he got shot in the head, and then they made him like a fucking secret agent or something. It was the dumbest run of Nightwing ever. And it lasted way too long. But yeah, that would be my character. And I think that, he comes back and takes over the crime families just like the other, only he's just so much more of a badass. Like, nobody could, like, sneak up on him ever. You know what I mean?
He couldn't. Yeah, no. And like you said, he could snipe somebody from 8 rooftops away, and nobody would even, he would be gone before the shot even got there.
Yep.
You know what I mean? More so than the Red Hood.
Yeah. Oh, way, way better than the Red Hood, but way more lethal than Daredevil, because he doesn't care. He's just like, I will kill everybody. And that's the other side of it. Is he really has to have that Red Hood attitude. Like when Red Hood first came back, before he got back in the family or whatever, and is now like an anti-hero. Like when he was just like, I will kill all these motherfuckers, and that's what I would want. And I want the ninja, and I would like the whole thing where Nightstick or whatever, Dick Grayson's character, was part of the Chaste. What I mean? And you bring in that portion of the story. And Father John Paul obviously was John Paul Valley, Azrael. So you could even throw in the Order of Saint Dumas in there as well. Or the Order of the Chaste even. There you go. That fights against the Legion of the Shadow Hand or whatever. Legion of the Hand. League of the Hand or whatever, yeah. So that's just kind of the origin story for that character, but I think it could be absolutely brutal. And that's the only way I would want it. And if you've ever read like any Daredevil that had like Chip Zdarsky as the writer, some of the recent stuff, and I can't remember who the artist is, and that's really the graphic where he's like able to see, like, to me, that would be amazing. Like if, again, he's going into a battle situation with guns and explosives and stuff,
He could see through the walls and shit.
100%. He can see through every level of a building.
Yeah. He would just look up and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There, got 8 of them on the next 2 floors. All right. Here's where they're at. Boom, 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 boom,
I'm going to come in underneath them, and then I'm going to come in on top of them.
So he's almost even a match for, his mentor or whatever.
I think that would be...
Mentors.
Yeah, I think that would be a fucking badass character whenever you throw in all the trauma and you throw in, just all the different things that could have gone wrong in his life to make him into that.
Yeah.
That straight up savage killer. which is still hard for him to fucking break.
Right. Right.
Everybody would be like, I fucking can't fix him.
Yeah, and I kind of left out the Catholicism side of it because I changed who his mom was. Like, Jason's story is very sad. Like, his parents suck. His mom's like a drug head. His dad just left. You know what I mean? Like, they were just shitty.
Yeah.
Where Murdock had a great dad who really cared about him, lied to him, and said his mom died, but his mom was really a nun.
Exactly.
So you could even, if you wanted to change that story a little bit, you could turn it around where his mom's actually working with Father Jean-Paul, and he doesn't even know it's his mom.
Right.
And then you'd have to have another impetus for him to go to this, following, this trail, which would be easy to do, because at that point, I think that in the comics, he kind of got fired from being Robin for a minute and then went out and did his own thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's when he got busted up, and they just kind of met in that area.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that would be badass, man. I could really see that. The good mix of it, then you could take it in different directions once you got to a certain point, of course.
Absolutely.
And totally make it more evil or make you more badass,
Yeah,
like
I mean,
good.
you could have a redemption arc for him for sure, and I think that I picture like Daredevil fighting style. First off, is just fucking awesome,
Brutal.
Yeah, but think about that, and then he's flipping around and shooting people at the same time. You know what I mean? And doing spins through the air while he's just blasting in weird directions, and still hitting everything.
Yeah. There's
Just
not one
crazy.
bullet that's a miss.
Yeah.
It's not like perfect shots, but he still hits them.
Pretty perfect shots. That's that. Well, that's the thing. I mean, he's got almost perfect. The Daredevil in himself in the comics has perfect balance because he has, like, he can feel where his muscles are or something. You know what I mean? And he is a perfect shot. He is a marksman right away. Every time he's been given a gun in anything, I remember. One of the comics, somebody was behind him and threw a knife, and he took the guy's gun and turned and shot it out of the air. Did no look because he didn't have to look because he's blind, but just shoots it out of the air. You know what I mean? So think about that now with training with guns.
Yeah. Then he's even
I just think he'd be a killing machine.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
And I think it's cool that he's always called Red by the Punisher. You know what I mean? And this is the Red Hood, so I don't know how I had a really hard time with the name, but I assume that people, I thought that was too on the nose, I guess. But I could see somebody being like, that hooded devil came after us, but I really like calling him the devil of Gotham's Kitchen,
Yeah. Yeah.
Has a long
the devil.
name.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty badass. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think all of your ideas were pretty fucking kick ass, man.
Yours too, brother. I
think that was really awesome. Huh?
You got anything else?
No, man. I just did those two, and
same. Really, I just did those two, and then had a couple ideas, like I said, like the Reed Richards thing and whatnot. You know what I mean? But that wasn't a fleshed out idea.
Yeah,
and I don't think any of them are really fleshed out. But
yeah,
they're just ideas.
I have the very first part fleshed out of every one of these.
Exactly.
And then now say I go back and then just add in the very first time they did something, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or first story arc or something like that.
Exactly.
Maybe we'll save that for another podcast.
Absolutely. As we build our own Amalgam Universe.
Yeah. Maybe we just, Yeah.
We've done some cool crossover stuff in the past. I remember we did I think it was like crossovers we wanted to see or something like that.
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
But that was same universe.
No, it wasn't, because I had I believe it was Bucky Barnes and Nightwing and one, and yours was same universe.
Oh, that's right.
Yours was Ghost Rider and Daredevil.
Was it Ghost Rider and Daredevil, or Doctor Strange and Daredevil.
Oh, maybe it was Doctor Strange. It was Doctor Strange and Daredevil. You're right.
I think it was Doctor Strange.
You
Daredevil.
are correct. You are correct.
I still think that would be a really cool deal. Just set during the Son of Sam, and it's Zarathos.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ghost Rider was in that one.
Yeah. Mine was all super soldiers, and the secret enemy at the end. You'll have to check the archives for that.
Ooh.
People die.
I remember now.
People die. It starts out with people dying, people you like. So check that one out. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. We had fun coming up with stories and just, doing our own thing. We didn't really talk a lot about it throughout the week, which was crazy. I mean, we've had a couple conversations, but nothing in depth.
No. It was kind of like, hey, I'm going to do this. Oh, man, that sounds cool.
Exactly.
I really do like these episodes because it does, I don't know, again, flex that muscle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Flex a muscle that needs it.
That's right. And if you're just a person who loves to do art out there, draw some of these characters and let us see what they look like. That'd be super cool. That's
That'd be bitching.
Ask of the listeners.
Yeah. That would be absolutely bitching.
And if you don't have drawing talent like me, that's okay. You can still send us your pictures.
Yeah, just cut and paste them.
You can use Photoshop.
Yes, cut and paste heads on top of bodies. Mix and match. Well, yeah, that was fun. That was awesome. So I guess that's it for this week, huh?
Yeah. That's it.
All right.
Let us know what you think. You can hit us up at dropculture.com or dropculturepodcast@gmail.com or on any of those social medias that you know about all those. I don't need to tell you. And
just look for dropculture.com at Menards.
Always. You don't even have to put the .com on the end of it at Menards. But for sure, and I hope you guys enjoyed some stories, or at least the ideas and bones for some stories, or getting startings. And let us know what you thought, and let us know what stories you think would be cool. What characters do you think would be cool to go together?
That would be awesome.
Hey, send us some cool ones, and we'll read them on the show if you want.
Yes. We'll even mention you by name.
If you'd like.
Yes. Well, thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
That's right. Peace. Gross.
That was gross.